Okay, slide down. So we have the bucket here, but the bucket doesn't have versioning enabled. It doesn't have versioning enabled. Now, what happens with versioning? Well, versioning is a means of keeping multiple variants of an object in the same bucket. You can use versioning to preserve, retrieve, and restore every version of every object stored in your Amazon S3. With versioning, you can easily recover from both unintended user actions and application failures. So you know the words. You want to protect your um, objects from accidental deletion or intentional deletion, and also application failures, right? Now, if you enable version, every single file that was, or every single object that was uploaded before enabling versioning will not have a version ID. So the version ID is going to be null, no version ID. A version ID is going to be assigned to every object that is uploaded after versioning is enabled. Okay, so you can create a file, right, in your computer. You can type something, you can have some data, you can upload it to an S3 bucket. It's going to create a version for it. You can, edit that file in your computer, add more text, or um, remove text, right? And then you can upload it again. It's not going to upload the file again. What it does is create another version of the file. So you're not going to have a bunch of uploads of the same file. You're going to have only one file, but it's going to have different versions. Every time that you upload a different version of the file, it's going to create a version, and it's going to assign a version ID to that upload. Okay, that's what version it does. Now, if you try to delete, or if someone deletes the original file, the version will stay there. That's a good thing. That's to protect your files. I'm going to enable versioning. So I click here, and something that you must understand, you cannot disable versioning. You can't. Once you enable it, the only thing that you can do is suspend it. Just remember that. You cannot disable versioning. Once you enable versioning, there's no way to disable it. You can only suspend it. And suspend is just basically disabling. It's not deleted. It's just suspended until you enable it again. But there's no disabling. Okay. So I'm gonna enable it. So after enabling bucket versioning, you might need to update your lifecycle rules to manage version. Okay, not a problem. We're gonna talk about that later. How to move the objects from one class to another, because maybe your file is not frequently accessed anymore after 30 days. So you want to automate the process of moving the file from one class to another, to another, to another, until you delete it whenever you want by default. Okay. So I'm going to enable versioning. So save changes, versioning is enabled. So if I take a look at the objects that I have right now, right? I have here short versions here. There's no version ID for this guys. It's null, as you can see here, right? So there's no version ID for those guys, right? Now let me upload maybe let me upload this file again. Okay, so now I upload this file, the image again, and now the file has been uploaded. Now when I take a look at the versions, I see that a version of that file has been created. You see here? That's the version. So it has a version ID. Okay, let me create a file in my computer. Let me put some data on it. So I'm going to go ahead here and make this bigger, right? Make this bigger. One more, please. So let me make this bigger a little bit. And now I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to move to my desktop. Okay. And I'm going to create a file. I'm going to call it versioning test. Okay. .txt. Right. And now I'm going to say I am testing versioning. Right. In an S3 bucket. Right. Perfect. So I'm going to save it, exit, go back to my guy, and I'm going to upload the file. Versioning should be at the end. Version text test. Good. So I'm going to upload this guy. And effectively, it creates a version of that file right here. Right? So that version is 44 bytes, right? And it's 44 bytes. So I can see the originals here, and I can see the versions if I toggle this to the right, and I see this the versions here. Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and go back to that and add more text. Right. This is so cool. I like it. Okay, so I'll save it, exit, go back to this guy, upload it again. Right. Versioning test. Okay, good. So now I upload this guy, and you can see here, the original guys are the same. There's nothing new here, but now it is not 44 bytes. Right now it's 72 bytes, right? So it just basically uploads the latest one, but it creates a version of that guy. It's right here. This is the first version, and this is the second version, right? And it's giving a version ID for every single version that I upload. So this reminds me of GitHub, right? That I have a version every time that I commit, I have a different version of my code, right? I'm gonna go back to this and add some more, right? So here, go back and add the guy again, right? And now upload it. And as you can see, it just uploads the latest version, which is 87 now. First 44, second 72, now 87. I have a version here, and I can see a third version here, right? So you see three versions of the same file, okay? It never happened with this guy. I uploaded a new version of AliExpress order image, but I never uploaded a version or another version of the challenge to Python. So that's why it stays here with a null, right? Now, this is very interesting what's going to happen now. What if I decide to delete this guy either intentionally or unintentionally? I don't know, accidental, right? So if I delete this guy, I don't think that someone unintentionally is going to delete this. I wouldn't believe it, because you see this second step here, you have to make sure that you understand that you're deleting it, right? So I don't think that someone accidentally is going to delete this way in the console, right? Because you have a second step where you have to confirm that you're going to delete, right? So now, once we create once we delete this object, it's going to add a delete marker to the object, right? So it's deleted. It doesn't show here. It doesn't show here in the list of objects, right? Supposedly it's gone, but it's not. If I show the versions is there, you see, and it puts a delete marker on this guy, right? It's not gone yet. It's not gone yet, but it puts a delete marker. It means that it is ready to be completely deleted, but it's not there yet. And you see here, it just put a 0 bytes, right? It's a delete marker. The other ones still preserve their size, but this guy doesn't have any size anymore. Now, this is when you have the opportunity to go back and put the object back to what it was, right? There's someone, I don't know, intentionally, unintentionally deleted the object. Now, what you can do to send the object back to what it was is basically delete the delete marker. When you delete the delete marker, the object is going to show again in the list of objects in your bucket. So I'm going to delete the delete marker, right? I'm going to delete the delete marker. Okay, so now let me go. You see, it's back there, and the show version, the delete marker is gone because I deleted it, right? But the object went back to the original one. You see, now it has a size again. It is back to the list of objects in my bucket. So that's the advantage of versioning. That's the advantage of versioning. But you can save your files and protect them. If someone tries to steal the original, you still have a version, right? So you can preserve your objects. Very important for your exam, and I give you a demonstration for a reason. If you want to protect your files, there are two things that you can do. One is versioning, right? One is versioning, and the other one is multi-factor authentication, MFA delete. Don't forget that, right? This is an extra layer of security that requires multi-factor authentication for changing bucket versioning settings and permanently deleting object versions. So to modify MFA delete settings, use the AWS CLI SDKs or the Amazon S3 REST API. Okay, so this is something that we have to do from outside the bucket. But don't forget, type it down, put it in your notebook somewhere. If you want to preserve the objects in your bucket, what you have to do is enable versioning and MFA delete, multi-factor authentication delete. Okay, those two guys should be enabled for you to protect your buckets from accidental deletion. Bucket versioning and MFA delete. Don't forget that, guys. That might show in your exam. I've seen it. Okay.
And Professor, you said we can't delete it, but we can do what?
What do you mean?
I mean the version, like we can't delete it.
Oh, we can't disable it.
Oh, we can disable.
We can disable it, but the only thing that we can do is suspend it. So now if I want to suspend it, you see here, I don't have disable here. There's no button here for disable, right? So I can suspend it. If I suspend it, every single file object that is uploaded from now on is not going to have versioning. Got it?
Yep.
You cannot disable it. You can suspend it, right?
Can I ask you a question about the versioning?
Go ahead.
You said when you upload the same file with the changes, it's not uploading the file. It's just it's not uploading the same file, but it's just saving the versioning, right?
No,
This-
it does. It is uploading the file, but it doesn't duplicate it. It just takes the last version, the last time that you uploaded.
Okay. All right.
You see,
thank you.
before it was 44, the very first one was 44. Then the
Yes.
second one was 72, and the third one was 87. We can see here in the versions, 44, 72, 87. It just, when you upload it, the same file, when you upload it, it just takes the last upload,
Okay. All right. Thank
right?
you.
But it creates a version of every single upload.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. So that is versioning. Okay. Now, if you want to empty the bucket, out, you will have to delete versioning first. All the versions first. You cannot delete a bucket that is not empty. It's just see it this way. It's like a folder. You cannot delete a folder when it's not empty. You will have to do some workaround to delete it, right? Because it's not empty. Same, you cannot delete the bucket when it has versions. You will have to do something about it, right? Now, versioning, it protects you. Don't forget that versioning and MFA delete, these two guys here, right? MFA delete can only be enabled. I have no way to enable MFA delete here. It doesn't give you the option. It can only be enabled from the CLI, right? And from the SDKs and the Amazon S3 REST API. So those are the three only ways that I can enable MFA delete, right? But you don't need to know how to enable it unless you want to find out. You just need to know the versioning and MFA delete are ways to protect your bucket from accidental deletion, right? Good. So